Hello! In this video, we will show how to create an embedded website study in RealEye. This study type is especially useful when you want to test a live website and see how users interact with it. Since it requires embedding the RealEye SDK, some basic programming knowledge is needed. You can learn more and find the examples in the dedicated article in our knowledge base. But before creating a study in RealEye, we first need to prepare the website we want to test. To enable eye tracking on your website, you need to be able to edit its source code to embed the RealEye SDK. The script should be pasted below the head element in the website's HTML. In this example, the RealEye SDK is already added to the website. Next, we need to define the areas of interest for which we want to have the eye tracking metrics calculated. We do this by adding the data RealEye name attribute to each element we want to track. For example, we can add this attribute to test the logo, images, text areas, or any other element. Once the SDK is added and the attributes are set, the website is ready for the RealEye embedded website study. So let's go back to the dashboard and create a new study. To do that, we first click New Study, and then pick the embedded website from the study types list. There are three main steps to create the study in RealEye. We start with the study setup. Here, we name our study. Then, we decide which devices participants can use to join it. The embedded website study works on desktops and laptops, as well as on the mobile devices. For this example, let's keep desktop devices selected. The Use Stored Calibration Data Between Studies feature is helpful for study chain and is explained in detail in a separate tutorial. With the facial coding module, which is enabled by default, it is possible to determine if participants are smiling, surprised, or have a neutral facial expression. The Show Elements in Random Order option lets us randomize items in the content setup. This only applies to main websites, images, and videos, and does not affect subpages. Now, the Show Separator Between Items option, when enabled, shows a gray screen with a white fixation cross before each element uploaded in the content setup. This helps participants rest their eyes and start navigating each item from the same spot. We can also add a mini survey at the very end of the study, asking participants for their name, gender, and age. Please note that answering these questions is optional. Here we can enable external tool integration, which lets you redirect participants from RealEye to any other website. For example, Qualtrics or Google Forms. This feature depends on the purchase license and is explained in detail in a dedicated article in our knowledge base. We can also add an extra instruction step that appears at the very start of the study, before calibration. In this step, we can add a headline, some content, and pick an icon from the list. For eye tracking setup, RealEye Webcam Eye Tracker is selected by default. But if you only want to track mouse movements and clicks, without eye tracking or facial coding, you can choose RealEye Mouse Tracker. RealEye also supports integration with the GazePoint GP3 infrared eye tracker, and instructions on how to do that can also be found in our knowledge base. For this example, let's keep the default RealEye Webcam Eye Tracker. Here we can add an optional intro message for participants, like explaining what the study is about. For example, "Hello, you will now see a website. Have fun." Below, we can also add an outro message such as, "Thank you for your time." And now the study setup is finished, so we can move to the next step, content setup. In the embedded website content setup, we can upload images and videos, just like in the images and videos study type, but we can also add page URLs of the websites we want to test. Such pages must have the RealEye SDK embedded, so let's add the URL of the tested website. Here, we paste the link, and since this is the starting page for participants, we do not need to link it as a subpage. So now we just click Add Page URL. Now, the main page of our tested website is added to the timeline. We can now add instructions that will be displayed before the item, or set up a survey to display after viewing the site. We can also decide how long participants can interact with the website, and set how long the separator screen should show before it. If the website has subpages we also want to test, we need to add all of them to the content setup as well. To do that, we click Add, Study Items, Page URL, and paste the link to the subpage. Then we select Link as a subpage and click Add Page URL. In this way, when a participant goes from our main page to a subpage, the eye tracking data will be collected on both pages. The display time of the subpage is controlled by the display time set for the main page. As mentioned earlier, RealEye also lets us add images and videos as stimuli in the embedded website study type. For example, if we want to additionally test an image from our website in a separate condition, we can upload it to the timeline and configure it in the exact same way we do in the images and videos study type. The detailed instructions are covered in the dedicated video. Once we have our stimuli uploaded, we can now clone the items, pin them to a specific place in the timeline, rearrange the order of elements, or delete any item we do not need. What is important to remember is that in the embedded website study type, all analyses are done on the static screenshot of the website. If you want to change the image used for gaze mapping, you just need to click Replace Image icon and upload the correct screenshot. Once everything is set up, we click Save and our embedded website study in RealEye is ready. Now we can preview our study or run it right away. With the preview option, we can launch a full preview with 39 calibration points, a quick preview with 9 calibration points but with a little lower accuracy, or share a preview link with colleagues so they can check the setup from the participant's view. Now, we move to the last step, running the study. To run the study, we click Select Participants and choose how many participants we want to invite. Own participants are test subjects that you recruit by sharing the participation link. The limit for own participants depends on the license and can be increased anytime by purchasing more slots. Instructions for this are covered in the How to Add More Participants to a Study article in our knowledge base. RealEye panelists are participants that RealEye can recruit for you, so that you do not have to collect the data yourself. These panelists must be purchased and ordered separately. Once our numbers are entered, we are ready to run the study. And that's it. Now you know how to create and set up an embedded website study type in RealEye. In the next video, we will show how to share the participation link with your testers to invite them to your study. See you there. Thank you and goodbye.